I'm Chris Scheetz.
And I'm Baillie Scheetz.
And look at this, the third episode of Talking Scheetz. They said it wouldn't last.
We've made it all the way to 3.
We barely made it through this intro. This is our third attempt.
Yeah, we're getting worse, I think, so.
And we had our first fight, too.
Third time's the charm.
Take it away, Dan.
Even when we got nothing to talk about, there's nowhere I'd rather be. 'Cause there's something about you and me just sitting around talking Scheetz.
Yeah, Talking Scheetz. You know, the experts, like maybe our producer Randy, again, producer to the stars.
You've never you haven't given any context for Randy.
Randy is my favorite son-in-law, your husband, and he probably would say, don't ruin the magic behind the show. But here's some of the magic behind the show.
We need to clarify that I didn't get remarried since the last episode. You've not called him Randy in any prior episodes.
I've called him Renato.
Yes.
Right. His nickname is Randy. Okay, I get it. No, this isn't her second husband.
No.
She's not working on number 2.
I barely have time for one.
Okay, got it. All right. But you guys come after producer Randy, also known as Renato, gets off work. You're on maternity leave right now. And you come to the house, and the first thing you got to do is your 5-month-old needs to be fed. So you do that. Then we all need to be fed. So Care upstairs makes this unbelievable macaroni and hamburger goulash. It is a Scheetz staple. It is like if I ever wind up, on what do they call that when you're gonna get
like your death row meal?
That's it.
Oh wow, that's not where I thought you were. That's not where I thought you were going with that. You get your death row meal.
My death row meal would be your mom's or my mom's or my grandma Scheetz's hamburger and macaroni casserole with tomato soup, but tomatoes in it. It's just the best. It's
a bit of an heirloom.
It's the comfort food. It really is. So she fed us, and the reason I bring that up is that you were busy feeding your daughter, which is
important job.
Very important job.
Yeah, especially for her.
Then you were finished. And then it was time we were going to get you fed before we started the episode. Mm-hmm. And your hubby, also known as Randy Renato, executive producer, was working on his 4th plate.
Yeah. I said, hey, would you mind grabbing the child so that I could eat for the first time in many hours? And he said, oh, yeah. Or no, I said, before you get seconds, can I eat? And he said, oh, I'm not going to lie to you. This is 4ths. So, yeah, it's been a day.
And while we were eating, he started to brag about how much sleep he's getting now that the baby is around.
Yeah,
what is he thinking?
We both have Apple Watches.
Yeah.
And it tracks your sleep. Even if you, I don't even know if you can turn it off. I just stopped wearing mine when we first had the baby because I was like, I don't want it. What I don't know doesn't hurt me.
Right.
But I've started wearing it again. We're on our fitness grind, so we're wearing our Apple Watches. And every morning he's like, oh, how much sleep did you get? And he comes strolling in and he's comparing our sleep, which is... Yeah. As someone I have this new mom ability to hear everything she does. She's not in our room with us anymore. She's in her crib, but the monitor's right beside us.
Which you guys reluctantly moved her. I said, you've got to get her to her own bedroom because you're never going to sleep if she's in the same bedroom with you.
She's a noisy sleeper.
She's a grunter.
Yeah, and she slams her feet down, whale tailing. The CDC or somebody advises you to keep, I think the CDC is for infectious disease, but the advice is to keep the baby in your room for the first 6 months.
Right.
In a bassinet.
Right.
We did that for about 4.5, but it was ruining my life.
Yeah.
So we did have to move her out. It's still ruining my life a little bit because I hear the monitor and I'm up with every movement she does.
Yeah.
This man, right beside the monitor as well, tends to get 9 hours of sleep somehow.
He sleeps like a baby.
Yeah.
But your baby doesn't sleep. Oh, your baby sleeps good, but
she's okay.
Yeah. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, probably shouldn't run down a producer.
No,
Renato. He's doing his best.
And he's a pretty good dad.
Yeah.
Despite needing 4 plates of food before I eat.
Yeah, and 9 hours of sleep every night. But thankfully, he's here for us.
Yeah. He's been a founding member of the Talking Scheetz fan club.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's definitely the guy. He's even listening and watching other podcasts to try to help us learn to be better.
Yeah, he seems to think we need some improvement.
Yeah. You know what? That's okay because, again, it's the magic behind it. Well, the bottom line is he has been critical, and when he is critical, his wife takes it not nearly as well as I do.
No, I get my feelings hurt.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? He just wants the best for us, and we get it. But speaking of the podcast, here's the deal. We are on our third episode, and we don't have guests this time around. We had Jack and Matt last week, and everybody loved that, and it was absolutely great. But we've looked at it, and again, producer Randy had the suggestion. He said, you know what? You should probably do every second week just the two of you, because that gives you the ability to kind of talk more about what's going on in your world. Because when you have guests, you're talking mostly about them, right? So, and also the other reason that we need to do that is because, quite honestly, this project is killing you.
Well, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yes. I wouldn't say killing me yet.
No, not yet. But
it is there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes on with the launch of the podcast and things like that. And we are joint partners in this endeavor.
Right.
But I have a lot more skills that are necessary for the after the yap.
Yeah.
There's a lot of technical stuff that we don't really want you involved in.
Well, the easiest part of this show is what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
The most difficult part is capturing the video that's available on YouTube. Please subscribe, because that makes a huge difference. If you watch, also please subscribe, because it makes a huge difference. But Baillie is working her tail off for that. And then you're also grabbing clips and you're putting that on social media, which is something that you do with the Edmonton Oilers. So it's a skill that you have. But it just because you have the skill doesn't mean it's not tenuous at this
Yeah, and I think the bigger thing is that my day-to-day is run by a 5-month-old boss,
right,
who doesn't give you a lot of breaks.
No.
So it's more so working in between naps and working once she goes to bed and working once our producer Renato gives me a minute in the evening to work on it. So it's more finding the time for it versus the actual skills being a lot of work, because I'm enjoying it a lot.
Right.
But it's just my schedule is more packed than you would think because of my boss.
Yeah, that boss, and then I'm usually emailing 3-4 times a day or texting asking for
Yes,
things.
you do important work too, though. You're helping find the guests and show ideas and things like that, which you're very good at. But yeah, you don't have a boss right now,
right?
And I do.
Yeah.
And she's upstairs right now.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, we can't go for 3 hours on this, because your boss is waiting for you.
Correct. Yeah. We have a time constraint, which is probably for the best for the listeners as well.
I would suggest that's correct. Yeah. All right. So that's what we're doing. So that's why it's the two of us, and we're probably going to try to alternate. Sometimes, we'll have 2 weeks in a row where there's guests. Sometimes it'll just be the two of us, and again, keep those guest suggestions coming.
Yeah, we love it.
You can go to the Talking Scheetz social media. It's
Instagram, Facebook, TikTok,
and we're hearing from a lot of people. And the show, it's interesting how it's going so far. We're getting thousands of downloads and views, which is awesome. Again, like I told you when this started, if it was just your grandma's watching and listening, and we had a chance to just hang out for an hour together, I think it would all be worth it. But it's going much better than that, so that's absolutely awesome. But we're hearing from people that say that they're enjoying the show. It's funny, the strange places that people are telling us about it too. Like, I've been to the gas station, and somebody said, "Hey, I love Talking Scheetz."
Yeah.
It's curling the other day, and somebody says, "Is this going to be on Talking Scheetz?" And
I got a shout out at Pilates.
Yeah.
A Pilates class. So I don't know. Talking Scheetz has reached the Pilates moms, which is a great demographic to reach.
What is Pilates?
Yeah, I wondered if you were going to...
I've heard the term, but yeah, so, it sounds like something deep fried in dough to me.
I'm really the deep fried dough doing the Pilates at this point. But as part of like my January, I had Leona, my baby, in August. I'm working on my fitness a little bit. I had a lot of recovery to do. And so as part of that, core exercises and yoga and breathing and those kinds of things are good. That's not typically the type of exercise I used to do. Right. I like to do sports, lift weights, run. But now I'm not able to do those things. So I've been kind of looking for new and different ways to exercise and move. And one of those has been Pilates, which is sort of like breathing and movement together. But it's mostly body weight stuff. So you're doing like poses and moving, but it's really hard.
So how is it different than yoga?
Well, the Pilates that I'm doing currently is on a reformer, which is like a machine.
Okay.
I'm using my hands, but I know that people are listening, so I can't use my hands.
Right.
You're on a machine that pushes in and out, and you're kind of pushing yourself in and out, almost jumping, but without impact.
Okay.
Have you ever seen a Pilates reformer?
No.
I think we might need to get you on a Pilates, like just to see it. Like I brought you to a Pilates class.
Did you not buy one of those like on Kijiji once?
I did. Yes, I also have a really, really, really old from the 80s Pilates reformer in my basement.
Okay, that is what. Okay,
yeah, so it's that.
I have seen it, and I knew when you got it, you'd never use it. And
I prefer to go to the fancy classes where they have the fancy reformers. The one in my house just, Yeah. We also don't have room
It
for
makes
it.
way more sense to pay $50 a time to go somewhere and get it done, right?
It's not $50,
Okay.
but it's not cheap.
All right, but you are working in you as a new mom again. Leona certainly took her toll on you, and it's difficult. Like again, looking at me, you don't think that I'm into exercise and things like that. But when I can't do it, it's like it's just terrible from my physical standpoint, from a mental standpoint. So it was a challenging 5 months to get to this point, and you still just can't wait to get back to normal. Which
Yeah, exercise, again, has always been a part of my life in some capacity. And I've been very lucky and very able-bodied to be able to do most things I've ever wanted to do.
Right.
But pregnancy, for one, and then postpartum has been completely different. And so I've had to kind of learn to love different types of exercise and movement and less sweaty types. Like we've talked about before how when we run, our exercise is just a mess. But this is more low impact. So it's been good.
We're more cardio people.
Yeah.
And Scheetz is, if we don't exercise,
we like the goulash.
Yeah. So we exercise to eat. Who are we trying to kid?
We exercise to eat and to quiet the noise in our brains.
Yeah. You can hear that too right now?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
It's not the headphones.
Just thought I'd check. So getting back to Baillie's got a big part in this, and so you're doing your best, and I'm trying to be patient, but it's going well. We're starting to hear from some advertisers that potentially want to partner with us. We are open for business 100%. Get on it early. This could be the next Apple, or we could be the next BlackBerry. It's so hard to say at this point.
Hey, I would take being BlackBerry. They were successful for a while.
Yeah. Did you ever see the movie? The Jim Baillie movie?
No.
I saw it on the airplane once.
Right.
It's crazy. The guy is, again, a lot of those people that come up with all these wild ideas are, they got a lot going on in their brains too. But
so get in on the ground floor of Talking Scheetz.
So even if it's BlackBerry, it's still going to be worth it.
For a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen? The world is a crazy place right now.
Let's ride the wave.
Yes.
We can feel it. It's just starting to build.
Yes. And it's not just the furnace in the furnace room giving us the heat. It's real. It's exciting. And it's been a lot of fun. And I will say, as much work as it has been, it's been good to use my brain a little bit, because my boss that I'm currently working for, my 5-month-old Leona, I'm doing a lot of physical running around, taking care of her, but not a lot of the skills that I typically used in my job before I left for mat leave. So it's been nice to kind of get back out there and do some creative projects and things.
It's funny you mentioned the furnace, because I can see it right now, because we're in the storage room.
Yeah.
And Legacy put the furnace in, and they put your furnace in too.
They did.
They'd be a perfect sponsor, because it's
Legacy.
It's the Legacy furnace room.
Legacy. That's a free. The first one's free.
The first one's always free. The second one is when we'll really get you. We will really get you.
I think we might need to partner with. They do air conditioning as well, because it is still hot in here.
And it's January. What else have we learned? Anything else?
I think just creating an outline for episodes has been a good change.
Yeah, like the Jack and Matt one. Let's talk about that really quick. When they came, it was just, as you said, it was a group of people that were just so excited to be together.
Yeah.
And so it was chaos.
Yes. And like so much happiness and joy and goofiness. Yeah. And like we all love each other so much, and again, don't see each other as much as we normally do, but especially you three. Yeah. It was just like putting microphones in front of you and putting you in the same room again just created this like which, as someone who edited the actual episode, it is very entertaining. We love them so much. It was so kind of them to share their stories as our first guest. Yeah. But as a podcast episode, all we did was say, "Oh yeah, we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later," and then we didn't talk about any of it. It really didn't have a beginning, middle, and end. It was just 45 minutes of friends catching up, which I think is good, but it isn't exactly like a podcast episode. We'll have to get them back to tie up some of the loose ends. Some of the people on Instagram are like, these things you mentioned, you never talked about them. So
we'll talk about that. The one thing that we didn't talk about, but gives you an example of our relationship and what it was like. One time we were going to Disneyland, and we were at the airport, at the international airport, and we were, waiting to get on the WestJet plane like everybody was. And the three of us were doing our thing and just talking. And all of a sudden, this lady that was sitting on the other side, how the seats are back to back and when you're waiting to get on an airplane, she was on the other side, and she turned around and she said, you three aren't on the radio right now, right?
It's just what you heard for that many years is really what you get, and we brought it back for a short time, and it was and you also didn't have the time constraint of bits and songs, so it was just it was a different format for you three to interact, and I was just sitting there watching it like, oh, editing this is gonna be
So that might be half the reason we're taking a break this week. We're not having guests.
Yes.
All right. So that's what we've learned so far. Things are going well. And like and subscribe and do all those things for us if you can. Tell your friends.
Share the good news.
Pass it on. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is we have so many new podcasters. How many people have told you or me, I've never listened to a podcast in my life, but this is my first one. Right?
Yeah, we've for some reason tapped an audience of people who have just never engaged with podcasts prior. So I'm honored.
Yeah.
That we would be the reason you would download a podcast app.
Yeah, download it for sure. You can just stream it, but download it. Then once you download it on Wi-Fi, you can take it wherever you go. You can take it in your vehicle, and you don't have to have any data charges or anything like that.
It's almost like you just learned this.
Yeah. Well, this isn't my first podcast. This isn't my first rodeo, but we appreciate you taking the time and doing this for sure. All right, moving on now. I think we've touched on that. Let's go to good sheets and bad sheets. What is good sheets and bad sheets?
It is a concept that I came up with. We talked about the people doing their ins and outs for 2025 and things like that, and people share raves and rants and all that kind of stuff. But it's our version of what we're loving right now and what we're not loving so much right now.
Okay.
Just in our lives, in culture, whatever's going on.
Okay.
Good sheets and bad sheets.
Good sheets, bad sheets.
Yeah.
All right. Are you going to go first?
I think that you're going to go first.
All right, I'll go first. Okay. Good sheets. Here's my good.
Yep.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Leon Draisaitl. I don't care if you're a hockey fan at all. What more can you say about this amazing German hunk of a man?
He's everything. What a season.
What a season. He just finished signing, for those that don't know, like a $14 million contract. So sometimes you see this in sports where when you sign that big deal, you're like, okay, no problem now. I can just kind of just do my job, and I'm taken care of for the rest of my life, and so are my children and my grandchildren. Not this guy.
No.
He's driven.
He's turned it up.
He is so driven. And the reason I bring him up, I have been the president of his fan club because there's been Leon Draisaitl detractors, and nothing gets me going more than that.
You love to defend that man.
I do.
It's like he's your son.
I do.
You defend him more than your son.
Yeah, who am I trying to kid? Absolutely. But he's had an incredible year, and he's just absolutely amazing. And had a chance to see him in September because his fiance is an amazing actor.
Yeah, Celeste.
Yeah, and she was part of a movie with Dallas Smith, who's the country singer, called Soul's Road, and it was a really good movie. And we did the premiere, and I hosted it at the Jubilee Auditorium. There was 500 people there, or whatever there was, and Leon Draisaitl was there. Yeah, because
supporting
Celeste.
Yeah. He was being a wag at that time.
It makes complete sense. So afterwards, he's walking out, and there's a group of people with him. There's a bit of an entourage, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, there's Leon Draisaitl." I'm Matthias Ekholm, who's another.
Yeah, they came to support too, Matthias and Ida.
Another great guy. But I purposely was going to walk around and not, again, you don't want to get in his face or anything like that. So I walked around, and then we ended up running into each other right at the exit of the Jubilee Auditorium. And he turned around and he came back like 6 feet, and he shook my hand and he said, "Hey, that was a great job." And I said, "You always do a great job, Mr. Draisaitl."
You became a little boy.
He's like half my age.
Yep.
It was ridiculous. But
double your size in shoulders specifically.
Yeah. And hair.
It was really kind of him to do that. It's like he almost knew that was going to make your entire life.
Yeah. I mean, literally, like I said, he's half my age. I'm 54 years old. This shouldn't matter as much as it does, but it was really, really cool. So, and then he goes on to now have this unbelievable year. Yeah. He's just a great leader. So
with Connor being out this past week, and the game against Vancouver, we can talk about that. This will be out. There has been a game that has passed, but that pass that he made to Zach Hyman was like, just it shows what kind of season he's having.
Yeah.
Like he knew where that was going, and he said, all right, let's go. His confidence is something else.
I've said for 5 years, when the Oilers win the Stanley Cup, Leon Draisaitl will win the Conn Smythe Trophy, which is the most valuable player in the playoffs. Connor McDavid won it last year. They didn't win the cup. And Connor's fantastic, like, honestly. But Leon Draisaitl, it's going to happen. So he's my good, all right?
Yeah, I would say that's an understatement. Good Scheetz, Leon Draisaitl.
All right. Do I do bad now?
I think so.
All right. It's not always going to be about sports, but I got to get this off my chest. It's NHL reffing. The refs in the NHL, and you know what? It sounds like it's like Bob Stauffer would say, complaining about the refs is a loser's lament, whatever that means. I don't even know. Is that from Shakespeare or something?
Lament?
I don't know. But the reffing is ridiculous. They don't call the penalties that they should on the great players in the league, and that's why Connor McDavid went crazy. And it's a goofy thing that the NHL is doing. And I know you work for the Edmonton Oilers, so you don't want to get fined.
No, can they find me on maternity leave? Can they find me at all?
I don't know.
I'm not going to say anything.
But I'm going to say that the NHL reffing is bad, and they've got to pick up their socks and call the penalties against the Stars, because it's absolutely ridiculous. And I know they're trying to create parity in the league and blah 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 blah. And this isn't a sports podcast, but those are my good and bads.
I think that sometimes we can talk about sports.
And people are talking about that stuff right now. So that's why Talking Scheetz needs to talk about it.
Yeah, this is our first like strong stance that we've made.
Yes.
You've made.
Yes.
Let's clarify that.
Exactly. All right. What's your good Scheetz?
All right. My good Scheetz is a different direction for sure, but mine is the Edmonton Public Library.
Okay.
I am a big fan. I have always been a fan of libraries. One of my first jobs was putting books away at the Spruce Grove Library.
Yes.
So, which I was very cool in high school.
Yeah.
But I've always been a fan of libraries and the library. I've always had a card, but this past fall and now I think it's with having the baby and having a little bit more downtime and wanting places to go with her, I have gotten really into the Edmonton Public Library and the stuff that you can access. You can get ebooks, you can get audiobooks, you can get movies. It's the way that the library has changed in the past 10 years has just been amazing. And the new technologies that they have, and it's just an amazing space with all kinds of events that you can take kids to and things like that. But really, I'm just reading right now. And a part of that also is that my only wish for Christmas was a reading light.
Yeah.
So that I could read at night when I'm taking care of the baby or when I'm waiting for the baby to go to bed,
right.
Or just when producer Randy is getting his 12 hours of sleep or whatever he gets.
Yeah.
I'd like to read my books. So I get my little reading light, which is another good Scheetz, because reading lights changed the game.
Okay.
It's been good. He hates it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the library and reading, it's my year of books for sure.
I can only imagine. I can kind of relate. Your mom's not typically reading at night, but she's on her phone creeping, and there's that glow.
Yes.
You're trying to sleep, and there's always that glow beside you, and you're like, why are we doing this? I never take my phone into the bedroom.
Yeah.
Never. That's
that's part of the reading though, and that's why I've been really trying to get into books, is that I don't want to be on my phone all the time, and I'm trying to get sleep when I can.
Okay.
And I find that reading before bed is helpful, even with the light. But it is quite bright, the one that I purchased, and it does get in his face.
Sounds like it doesn't matter. He's getting all the sleep.
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine.
All right. What's your bad Scheetz?
Completely unrelated.
Yeah.
My bad Scheetz. We talked about this a lot before the show.
Yeah.
But my bad Scheetz is postpartum hair loss. I don't know if. I think it is a cruel joke that you grow a child for 10 months, not 9 months. That's another misconception. And
a conception. I get what you mean there.
you birth the child, and then you're going through all of these different changes. You're not sleeping. You're taking care of a baby. It's beautiful and amazing. But then about 4 months in, you're kind of getting in routine. You're feeling good. Everything you have it handled. Your hair just starts falling out. Like, and not falling out in like there's a couple hairs on the floor, like clumps in the shower, receding hairline, bald patches kind of falling out.
Right.
And as we were getting ready for the show, I put the headphones on and I was like, oh no, you can see my bald patches. And I know that it is, again, not a real problem and it will grow back eventually, but it is, when you're showering and it is just falling out like that, it is really something. So fellow moms out there, if you have any tips or anything like that on how to keep your hair on your head, be great. But that is my bad Scheetz, because It's also clogging our trains at this point.
So what you're telling me is I had postpartum hair loss at 18 years old. It doesn't make any sense, but
You've
okay.
had postpartum hair loss. You came out with postpartum hair loss.
And it hasn't gotten any better.
No.
All right. My good Scheetz. Another one. Curling with your wife. Yes, this is something that we do. My wife Karen and I have been curling this year at the Jasper Place Curling Club with a bunch of great people, and it's been so much fun. And we're curling with our friends, the Kellys. We call our team the Scheetz Express, and we've had just a great time. And we started off curling really bad and getting beat, and then we came around, and then we started winning a bunch of games in a row. And then the last game, I was terrible as the skip. It was just brutal. The Harris rink just cleaned our clocks, but your mom curled amazingly well. And it's a really cool thing that you can do a sport, with your partner. I think it's great.
You guys have been a bit of a Cinderella story as a team, and I also think that you call me after your games for like the post game debrief, and I feel like you both have a lot of fun. And sometimes the recount of the games is different from both of your perspectives, but I feel like it is such a nice activity that you can do together.
Yeah, and your mom, she suffers from a chronic illness. It's terrible. It's called ankylosing spondylitis. Google it if you haven't heard of it. But, she's fought through it since your brother was born, really, and she continues to fight through it. And she's curling, and she's doing okay. And then she had a great game this week, and then her knee started to swell. And it swelled and swelled. And ironically, just prior to that, I was having knee problems with my left knee. It's her right knee. And we're sharing a knee brace. Sometimes I wear it, sometimes she wears it. You get to that age where you start sharing things like that because of injury. I wonder if there's couples out there that share medication.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think at some point you're just like, oh, you're feeling like this too? Sure. Why not? I guess I shouldn't complain too much about the state I'm in because I don't want to share a knee brace.
We probably should buy a second one, I'm thinking.
It's kind of romantic, though.
Well, the fact that, I've got one bad knee, she's got one bad knee, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, we could be in a three-legged race because we've got three good legs between us. I don't know. It's sad, but again, that is the good. Now my bad Scheetz, snow squalls. What are these snow squalls?
I had not heard of a squall until last week when I opened my door and I was in one.
Yeah. And for our people that aren't in Alberta or northern Alberta,
this is actually. Really quickly, we have some fans from all over the place.
We do?
We can look at our downloads. There's a few people from Mexico, some Europeans. We were joking about it in the last episode, but we do have to give context because the people in Mexico certainly have never heard of a squall.
No, they don't deal with the squall.
No.
All right. So yeah. So if you're not familiar with it, it's like the wind comes up. You get this wet, nasty snow. It's kind of warm. It's kind of round zero, and it's just brutal. It's just like pounding down, and it makes the road slippery. It makes everything slippery. It sticks to your windshield, and the wind it's just so weird.
Yeah,
it's squalling.
It's so like nothing I've ever seen. It looks like you're in a snow globe.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of beautiful.
Yeah,
but terrifying, and it sounds like our house was shaking.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wind is so nasty.
Yeah, I can't imagine being on the roads. I wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
Bad Scheetz.
Bad Scheetz. Snow squalls.
Squalls.
Yeah. I wish we never had to learn about them. I don't remember them in my 54 years, but they're here now.
They're new.
All right. Good Scheetz.
My second good Scheetz is contradictory to what I was talking about working on my fitness and my health, but McDonald's, okay? McDonald's sponsor us. That would be amazing.
They should.
They should, at least for Diet Cokes.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, absolutely.
But McDonald's has come out with fries that have a seasoning on them. So, like popcorn, you go to the movies, you get popcorn seasoning, but it's for the French fries. And there's a dill pickle seasoning on the fries, and it's just the most delicious thing I've ever had. The dill pickle shaker fries from McDonald's, good Scheetz.
Yeah, well, the McDonald's fries are fantastic, so I can't imagine.
I'm not a huge French fry person as it is, but something about those, I love anything dill pickle, but the dill pickle shaker fries, amazing.
I bought dill pickle Heinz ketchup. And it's really good, too. I put it on everything.
I'm here for, like, the pickle revolution. More dill pickle everything. Dill pickle soup. Oh.
All right. That's your good Scheetz.
Yeah.
Bad Scheetz?
My bad Scheetz, it might be related to the snow squalls, but January as a concept. I'm tired of January. When this comes out, it'll be January 27th. It feels like it is January 107th. It's just, I know it's getting lighter, but it's dark all the time. The weather is unpredictable. Christmas is over. I'm ready for spring.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always said I wouldn't mind winter if it was, if it started in late October, early November and went through December and then bang, spring came, right? And I know there's some places in the world that have that. But yeah, you're right. January is a tough one.
It's just been dragging on.
It's a good month to try to travel.
Yeah.
Get out of Dodge. Get out of snow squalls.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And
although I wouldn't want to fly through one.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a very good point. All right. There's our good sheets and bad sheets.
Yeah. I think we might get a little more. I might get better at it. I feel like mine weren't that good this week. But.
It's funny that you could only think of good sheets.
Yes.
And I had a harder time thinking about. No. Yeah, you could think of good sheets.
I had like 100 good sheets.
And
that I
had a hard
of.
time thinking of good sheets. Bad sheets, I could.
You were like, the refs.
I could go all day. And I think that's called being 54 or being 30.
Yeah.
You're more optimistic with the world.
Yes,
right?
I think so. Yeah.
And we're going to stay right out of politics with good sheets and bad sheets, but don't get us started.
There's a lot we could say about that too, but we don't want to be attacked.
No, and we'd rather just leave that one alone.
Yes.
All right, let's watch January. The only way to get through January is with television and streaming, and a lot of people do it. How many different subscriptions do you have? You probably have more than you're using. But we're going to talk about what we're watching, what we've got going on, and why don't you start?
Yeah, one thing we talked about how we have Diet Cokes in common and exercise and different things. I think TV is something that we're always watching something, even if I don't have as much time to watch as I used to.
Right. All right.
One thing that Severance is back. Severance is a television show on Apple TV. The first season was incredible. For a little bit of background, but no spoilers, it's about a man who goes to work and he has undergone a procedure where his work life and his home life are split. So his brain is split in half and he can't... As soon
as he goes in the elevator.
Yes. He can't remember anything from home when he's at work. He's a different person, basically. And he can't remember anything from work when he's at home. So the first season was just kind of setting the scene for that. And now that the second season is back, there's a lot going on in that show, and you're watching it as well.
I'm watching it, but I'm so confused. I don't know if it's his innie or his outie or
his belly button.
I'm trying real hard. Like the problem with me in television is my ADHD. It has to just slam me right in the face, obvious, or I'm confused. And that show, I'm watching it and I like the premise and I think it's really cool, but I'm confused all the time. It's like if I watched. What was that show called? The big one that I never watched. It's not called Legacy, but you know what? It was like the biggest show. It was of the dragons and all that.
Oh,
stuff.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
That took the biggest show.
Well, am I not right?
Yes, that's
okay,
true.
But the point is,
too much going on.
Too much going on.
You need kind of a simple.
I need something that just the dots connect very easily.
I am sympathetic to your ADHD, but I also think something that would help you is if you just watched a show without going on your phone at the same time.
Right. Well, I usually watch when I'm on my elliptical.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Okay. What else?
What am I watching? Severance. Yeah, amazing. A different vibe, but Abbott Elementary.
Oh yeah, your mom doesn't watch any television, but she watches Abbott. That's her show.
Yeah, I watched the first season and I said, "Mom, this is your kind of show," because she doesn't like when any bad things happen in shows. Yeah. And Abbott Elementary is just good, fun vibes. It's kind of like if The Office was in an elementary school. It's an elementary school in Philadelphia, and the characters are so good and they're so funny, and it's just one of those shows where you can watch it and you just feel good and you're just laughing and it's not that serious, which again is needed right now in January.
Okay.
Another comedy that I'm watching is Hacks. I don't know if you've watched that one.
I've never heard of Hacks. No,
really?
No.
Jean Smart? Jean Smart is the lead in it, and it's about a comedian, and she's older, and she's working with a younger comedian to kind of write new pieces and stay relevant and things like that. This is a bit of a Hacks right here.
Right. Okay.
we're living Hacks.
Yeah, we're happy. It's happening. The hack is happening. Okay. Yeah.
But it's Jean Smart as the lead, and I watched the first 2 seasons and I liked it, but I think season 3 it's really hit its stride and it's very, very funny. Another show that I'm laughing the whole time, which I appreciate.
All right, got it. Okay.
What about you?
Oof. Well, this is not a new show. But my friend Marty got me on Wrexham, and Wrexham is the story of Ryan Reynolds, of course, the famous Canadian actor, and an actor named Rob McEnally. McEnally? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. He's from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And together they decide to buy this football team, also we call it soccer, in Wales, and it's in a community that is really hurting, and it's a soccer football team that's been hurting for years and years and years. And the cool thing about soccer in Europe is you actually can get regulated down, or you can move up. Relegated,
Yeah.
not regulated. I need to be regulated, but yeah, you can move up and down, and it's the story of them buying this team and trying to put this thing together. And I love it. I'm on the 3rd season now, and it's just so. The good news is I missed out on any of this. Like, I didn't see it on the news. I didn't catch it on the sports, so I have no idea what's happening.
So you're surprised.
And
yeah.
But there's stories about there's human interest stories in it. There's stories about this community, and there's times where you feel like you can relate as an Oiler fan because. Not spoiler alert, but things don't always go great, and there's heartbreaking times. And as a sports fan, you just go, "Oh my gosh, yeah, been there, done that, right?" And like Edmonton Wrexham is the same. It just all that matters is that team, and it's just really cool. And Ryan Reynolds is just, it's just amazing. And the last episode I saw, they're doing a story with his mom, and she was singing "Four Strong Winds," which is and it's got the Alberta in it, and it's really, really cool.
It kind of sounds like Ted Lasso, but in real life.
It is, but it's real life Ted Lasso, and it's really, really good. All right, now that is like just a real inspirational show, and now the one that just started on Prime, that's on Disney Plus. The one that started on Prime is Mr. Beast.
Beast
Games, but
yes.
Mr. Beast is this YouTube guy that started doing these kind of crazy things with like a game show on.
Yeah, I think it started as like he was doing good deeds, like giving people money for. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, this show, my mom got me on it. She says, "You got to watch this. You're just you literally yell at your television when you watch it because you cannot believe it starts with 1,000 people and they're playing for $5 million and there's millions of dollars to be won along the way. I can't imagine what this show cost to produce and create, but it is. You see the best in people, you see the absolute worst in people, and this Mr. Beast they're nasty. Like they do the nastiest things, but I'm not really selling it maybe very well, but it is unbelievable.
Entertaining.
I've never seen anything like it. It is like game shows. It's like, whether it was Survivor or Amazing Race on super steroids. Like
sounds more like Squid Game than anything else.
It is Squid Game.
Okay.
But nobody dies. But
not yet.
When people are eliminated, you wouldn't believe what they do to them. It's unbelievable, and it's the number one. I saw a number one show in Canada this week, like as far as watching and downloading it. It's called Beast Games, and it's mind blowing.
I have not watched it, but I do know who Mr. Beast is.
Yeah,
and his smile freaks me out. Is
Yeah.
he a little creepy?
Oh yeah, and he knows it. He plays
okay.
up on that, right? Like
He gives me an off-putting vibe. I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch his show.
Well, I'm just telling you, it's just you will not believe it.
I can't tell if you like it or you don't.
I can't stop watching it.
Okay.
I can't stop watching it, and I don't know what that says about me, but it's crazy. It's crazy. So it's Beast Games, and it's on Amazon. All right. Moving on. What are we doing now?
I like that I'm leading the charge here because I made the outline.
Yeah. For those that don't know, we're in the studio. We've got the laptop that's recording the show, and we've got a bit of an outline.
Yes.
And again, we're just kind of trying to keep this thing going.
Yeah, trying to figure out what this looks like. But we did a fun thing on social media last week where we asked people, Scheetz, you want to know. Okay. So I really have been playing up on that pun. I probably need to get a bit more creative. But
No, I think it works. All right.
Q&A. Things that people want to know about us, from us, just anything they have on the top of their mind, ask away. And we got quite a few responses on Instagram, Facebook, and things like that. So we're going to answer some of those.
Okay.
I thought it would be a good, you're used to taking callers.
Yeah.
And so I thought it would be a good way for you to have interaction. You know, these are like the social media callers for this show.
All right. Scheetz, you want to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first question is.
From who?
Coraline Herring.
All right.
She says, does your family ever fight? I will let you start with this one.
Not really. And that might sound like, a dad that's definitely stoned. But I don't know. I was trying to think of something there. But not really. Like, I honestly don't remember you and your brother ever fighting.
Yes. I would say my brother and I do not fight.
Yeah.
we don't really fight with Mom.
Right.
I don't fight with my mom. I wouldn't say Carter fights with my mom. I would say occasionally, if there was to be a squabble,
Yeah.
who would be involved?
Yeah, I would be involved. I guess that's why I wasn't thinking about that. I guess I never think of that as fighting. You know, I just
No.
think of that as you guys disagreeing with the right answer. Like that's kind of the way it looks. And now that we've brought on two more characters
yes.
into the world, certainly my daughter-in-law Leslie, who we call
Yes.
Helen, she gives it to me nonstop.
Yes, they
Like,
say the world brings you what you need or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And she came into our lives, maybe not for what Carter needed, but
No.
maybe for you.
she literally does not ever give me a break. Like
She
never.
holds you accountable.
She is on me, like
Yes.
constantly.
I
So,
wouldn't say that we have blow-ups
No,
by any means.
no.
Which is very lucky.
I don't want to have blow-ups with her because we live on the same acreage.
Yes.
That would be a
And
disaster.
she's tiny, but she's kind of scary sometimes.
Not kind of. She's very scary. Very scary. All right. So I guess the answer is yes, our family fights with Dad. Okay, move on.
Go-to coffee order. I could start with this one. I am
Who's this from?
Aiden Scheetz. No relation.
But I know Aiden.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you because I just saw it on the laptop.
Yeah.
Aiden Scheetz is a young girl from Camrose, Alberta, and I met her through the Stollery Children's Hospital, and she went through cancer, and she fought through it amazingly well. She's now, I want to say New Brunswick is where she goes to school. I'm sorry, Aiden, but I know it's somewhere in the east where she's going to university, and she's just doing incredibly well. And so she's not related, but we feel like she is.
Yeah, it's spelled differently, but
Yes.
I thought that was neat that there's another
All right, Aiden.
Scheetz to the wind.
Okay, go.
Go-to coffee order. I am very boring. I actually I drink mostly just black coffee every morning from anywhere. Black coffee is my favorite. If I'm feeling crazy, she asked specifically for Tim's or Starbucks orders. At Starbucks, I'll get one of those refreshers, which are basically just caffeine and sugar combined, but they're delicious. But overall, black coffee. What about you?
Yeah, people are surprised when they find this out. I've never been a coffee person, ever.
No.
Never, ever been a coffee person. I don't know if it's got something to do with my grandma Broadbent out in Warburg when I was a kid, without a word of a lie, when we were little boys. I remember the highlight of our time with Grandma and Grandpa was she'd sit us at the table and she'd let us drink coffee. And we were little boys, but we put so much sugar. I remember just going with my spoon, and then just the sugar was just it wouldn't even dissolve. There was so much in it, and we put some milk in it. We turned it into some kind of a sugary treat. And but that's the only real coffee I've ever drank. I haven't drank another cup of coffee in my life. And everybody said, "How, you were working the morning show? Like, my gosh, you needed coffee," but I never did. And the worst experience for me is to go through the Starbucks drive-through and order for the family.
Oh yeah,
Like
you for someone who doesn't drink coffee, you buy a lot of coffee.
I do buy a lot of coffee. Your mom likes her caramel latte.
There you go.
Grande.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Caramel latte grande, pumpkin spice latte, okay, grande, fine. But my son-in-law, producer to the stars, Renato, he's got the most. When I order it,
Yes.
I am so embarrassed. I literally. What does he get?
He gets the brown oat brown sugar shaken espresso, iced brown sugar oat shaken espresso.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's like 17 words in
it's
it.
brutal.
It's delicious though.
I'm so embarrassed by the time I get to there, and my face is red. I just feel like,
You're not great at ordering at a drive-through as it is.
and I feel like I need to tell the person at Starbucks, this isn't for me. I don't know why.
Even though, you know what, you got to own up to it. It's not just because your drink has 17 words in it doesn't mean you're not a man. You know.
I don't know. All right, I'll take your word for it. All right, another question from who?
This is from Aussie8787.
Okay.
And this was specifically for you.
Yeah.
If you had to cheer for another NHL team, who would it be?
Ooh, Aussie 8787. That's a really good question. I'm kind of like the Ottawa Senators because they just have always had tough luck, and they play, in the same area as the Toronto Maple Leafs, who I strongly dislike. But I'll say my second favorite team, if it can't be the Oilers, would be the Carolina Hurricanes, because
Wow.
friend of the show, he doesn't know it yet, but he's going to be on it. Jordy Martinook from
Yes.
Leduc plays on that team, and I'd love to see Jordy do well.
After 2006.
Even after 2006, and I was there when the Carolina beat the Oilers, but I still have a real soft spot in my heart for
Wow.
and also they've been a really good team for a long time, and they just haven't quite made it. So I don't want them to beat the Oilers. Let me get this straight. But if I had to,
You're cheering for Jordy.
Jordy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
That answer surprises me.
Yeah.
I will not answer that question.
No, you can't because you work for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yes, it's all Oilers all the time. I was raised that way.
All right. Another question.
One thing, this is for me, one thing that I would like to bring into parenting from my childhood, so something that I got from you guys, and one thing I would like to leave behind. And this is from Stacy Arsenal.
All right.
Do you have any guesses?
I don't know. Just, do you want to be an incredible parent like your father?
I would say the thing that I have hopefully already brought into parenting, but the thing I was most inspired by, or at least my memory was inspired by, is just how relaxed you and Mom were as parents. I think that parenting is hard, and a lot of times parents get very stressed out and strict about schedules and things like that. And I know that that's important, and there's parts that you need to be regimented about, but I think just being relaxed and bringing your kids everywhere. We got to go to so many different events and places and hang out with adults a lot of the time and sleep under tables and things like that. And we were just a part of your lives versus you running your entire lives based on us. And I think that that's something that I've learned that really, has inspired me. And hopefully I'm able to keep that going. We'll see. Some nights it's harder to be chill, but you were very relaxed parents. And I admired that.
So many people said to us when you guys were growing up, these kids are so good here. Like, they're just good here. And I'm like, they're used to it. You can't ever expect to bring a child into a situation, for the first time and say, okay, well, we're going to do this and they're going to be good. But yeah, from the time you guys were born, you were just involved in everything, and it was just part of your life. And it didn't, it wasn't like a big deal. It was just like, okay, the kids are here. And like you say, sleeping under, it's time for bed. Well, yeah, we're not going to go home, but you know what? Bailey's going to probably go sleep under that table and she's going to be fine. Right. And it worked out for us. Everybody's got their own thing, but,
For sure.
and I'm glad you adopted that, because if you wouldn't have heard the, from your,
We'll see. We're only 5 months in.
and you're right. So far, so good.
So far, so good.
All right.
Yes.
I've got one.
Okay.
I tell you, the thing that I brought from my childhood into my parenting is my father's inspiration of Disneyland.
Oh, yeah.
We got to go to Disneyland at 5 years old. My brother and I, our two other siblings weren't born then, but we drove down to Disneyland, down to California, right at Christmas time, and that was my first experience of Disney. And what can I say, right? And then we went when we were 10 years old, and we went when we were 15 years old again. And there's a lot of things, of course, that I got from my parents. Don't get me wrong, but that Disneyland thing is something that I absolutely brought it to my parenting. And
Yeah, I'm actually surprised we haven't brought up Disneyland earlier, because that is another thing that we have in common. To describe how badly we are both Disney adults, sometimes we just check the app for wait times.
Yeah, so just to see what it would have been like if we were there.
If we were there, like what's Space Mountain at? Just to check. The Disney adulting has gone through the bloodline. I think about taking Leona to Disneyland almost every day.
Yeah.
I know she's not ready, but
I think about it every minute, taking her to Disneyland. So
maybe we should check the wait times right now.
You know what? She is a big kid. Like, she might be able to get on the roller coaster. Like, she's pretty long.
She's sturdy. She certainly wouldn't fall out.
Let's do one more question.
Okay. I didn't say what I was going to leave behind, though.
Oh, sorry. What are you going to leave behind?
I actually had to think about this for a really long time, but you fed me way too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I still eat fast.
Yeah.
And then that, apparently, as the legend goes, you would watch the Oiler game, and the more stressed you would get during the game, the quicker you would feed me my cereal or my pablum.
Yeah.
And now I eat a meal in 4 seconds.
Yeah.
So we're taking our time with baby Leona, feeding her nice and slow.
She doesn't like that, though. All right.
All right. Let's say, okay, Scheetz 4 is asking advice for someone at Nate in the radio and television program. So heading into their career right now, what advice would you have?
Okay. I would say it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough business to be in. It's becoming more and more difficult because, let's face it, all of a sudden you can go in your storage studio and do a podcast and sound like you're on a radio station and television. There's so many, things that are competing with it. It's a tough go. But the person sitting to, again, my right, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe now. you went to the radio and television program,
Mm-hmm.
but you didn't end up on the radio or television.
Yeah,
right. So
my advice would be every skill you learn in that program is valuable, and you don't. I wouldn't go in there with a set path of exactly how you want your career to look, because the job you might want might not exist yet.
Right.
And I learned so many things from that program that I do every day in my job as the social media manager at the Oilers, in my unpaid job as a podcast host.
Right.
but those skills that you learn, they might not translate directly to being a radio broadcaster, or they might. You never know.
Yeah.
But everything that you learn, don't pigeonhole yourself into one lane. Learn as much as you can, and those skills. These days, you kind of have to be a multi-tool. And the more that you can learn about video editing and audio editing and on air and writing and social media, all of those things kind of add up, and there's so many different places you can go with that.
It's so true. I mean, you either have to have a daughter that can do it, or you need to learn it yourself.
Yes.
And if you do want to be on the radio or in television, you really have to want it. Like you really have to want it. Like you need to make sacrifices. You need to work weekends and overnights and
a lot of moving away
and not make any money and do all of those things. And if you can't check all those boxes, it's not for you.
Yeah.
It's not for you. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of opportunities, and there's not a lot of people that are willing to do that either.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are one of those people, you're going to have a chance.
if you work really hard.
You're going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Just hang in there. You can do it.
And marry rich.
Yeah. Marry rich.
I know you said that was the last question, but I feel like this would be a good one to end off on.
Okay.
What is the best and worst part of this stage in your life? We talked in the first episode about how we're both kind of in this transition where we're taking a break from what we normally did, and just kind of figuring out what happens next. This is from Lori Senyo, by the way.
Yeah.
So what is the best and worst part
of this stage of your life?
Yeah.
The best part of this stage of my life is that you're in more control of your destiny than you've ever been before. That is by far the best part of being. They say your 50s are your best time. You're still healthy enough to kind of enjoy everything, and you're in way more control. The worst part about that is you're in your 50s and you're definitely on the backslide here, right? Like that is. And you think about that a lot too. You think, my gosh, I thought about it today. I don't even remember what context, but I'm just like, yeah, this is just, it's going by way too fast. So I think that's probably it for me. What about you?
I think I'll start with the worst part, so we end on a positive.
Sure.
The worst part is the lack of sleep.
Yeah.
In my life currently, with a 5-month-old and just a lot going on. You don't get the same freedom that you may have had in your 20s, or you might have in your 50s, where you can go to bed and wake up when you want to, and you can kind of do things whenever you want to. I have the opposite of that, where I don't get a lot of sleep and I'm busy all the time. But the best thing is just being able to also, while I don't have a lot of time, I still have a lot of time with my child, and that year of maternity leave that I'm so grateful for, where I get to just spend almost every second, besides when we're podcasting, of every day with her and watching her grow and learn has just been, it's been so amazing. Like she's rolling now. You saw it upstairs. She's rolling back and forth, and all of those little things. It's been So there's a lot of good things too, and lots to look forward to.
There is
Disneyland, right?
Absolutely. Disney, you can sponsor the podcast. How many people have we asked so far? Just a few today.
Yeah. You know what? We're just starting slow. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. All right. That wraps it up. That is it. I think that went okay.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't get the severance procedure done in your career, because you wouldn't have remembered you were on the radio, and then we wouldn't have had a podcast. So
Great point. Coming up next week, here's a teaser for you. We're not going to tell you who it is, but this person has over 2 million followers on Instagram.
Yeah, 100 times more followers than Talking Scheetz. Follow us.
Don't bring that up. Yeah, follow us to try to get us to that point. And this person also I had a chance to work with for a considerable amount of time. And this person is bringing their father as a guest. So we're going to have, a father and a
person.
A person.
Yes.
we're not going to say if it's exactly, but it's going to be absolutely awesome.
It's really fun. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. You have a lot of things going on in your world, and we really appreciate it. Once again, download this puppy. You can get it on Spotify. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Apple. You can get it on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe if you can. I don't know about you, but I'm hankering for a 4th or 5th plate of Mums.
Macaroni.
Macaroni
Oh,
salad.
yeah. We've been thinking about that the whole time.
And I'm thinking your daughter is probably calling your name.
Yes, I can hear her through the walls.
I definitely could as well. Thanks for listening.
Even when we got nothing to talk about, there's nowhere I'd rather be. 'Cause there's something about you and me just sitting around talking Scheetz.